we're creating a learning organisation, we're creating an organisation that values quality, that values individuality and diversity, but in a way that has come from within.
I found the Altogether Different programme to be exactly that. It is different to anything that we've ever tried in this organisation before around leadership. The Altogether Different programme is much more creative and innovative, and allows staff the real opportunity to get involved in it and feel enthusiastic, because it's a different way of doing things.
I've really enjoyed the Action Learning set. It's brought me together with people from diverse departments from across the force. We're working really well on the project, but as well as that, we've created the network outside of the project, so we're now linking on other things, and it's bringing forward really good ideas around other issues that we deal with in our day-to-day world.
In Durham, in October 2015, we received 3 outstanding gradings for efficiency. We were the only force to secure that from Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary, when we're not complacent, but I think it's worth just thinking through how we achieved that. And we achieved that by not looking through efficiency through the lens of money, but looking through the efficiency through the lens of people. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that one of the things that HMIC spotted, and I know because they told us, was it feels different here. And it feels different here because Pearlcatchers were part of that, shaking the old, very sometimes straight-jacketed view of policing. So what we've done is, which is what Pearlcatchers said on the tin, they were going to explore difference with us and give us a completely different training experience.
Considering Pearlcatchers were selected through a competitive tender process, through the council's procurement process, I believe that the biggest impact is to do with how practical the training is and how impactful the training is in terms of messages, key messages that can be recalled easily and can be fed into the culture of the workplace. The Pearlcatchers experience from start to finish is a personal experience, and I mean personal not in the me personal, but in the personal service in terms of the council. There is the willingness and the time taken to understand and not just assume that Surrey County Council is the same as another county council, it's the same as another library service. We are unique and are all different, and from that point of view it is a personal and it has a personal aspect to it. There's also a humble and a humourful side to it as well, and I don't know if humourful is a word, but actually that's the only way I can describe it. We can have a laugh together, and in the serious life of councils and industry and private industry, to have a laugh with somebody you're working with is the way you can create great things. We have back in terms of our investment. The anecdotal comments in terms of customers who challenge us from staff who may have been a bit resistant, may not enjoy learning, may not enjoy being part of training. I said it's some of the best training that they have ever experienced.
I find, especially over the last year, training has become very, very hard. People are on Zoom calls, Teams calls all the time, and it's really hard to keep people engaged. And what I find Pearlcatchers do really well is they will always provide some content that people can have a look at either during the session or beforehand. We'll have the trainer talking to people, so it's face to camera. There'll also be some slides. They utilise breakout rooms and discussion groups really well, so it's not just death by PowerPoint, as I call it. There's a really nice style of mixing those things up so that you don't feel like you've been sat in front of a computer watching PowerPoint for 3 hours. It's a really nice combination, and it's a really nice style of delivery. And it's also a very interactive style, so you're not being talked at for 3 hours. There's lots of opportunity for conversation. I've been on trainings where I don't feel like I'm allowed to kind of put my hand up and say something, but with Pearlcatchers training, I absolutely feel like, and we've had a lot of feedback that people feel like they can really join in a discussion, and it is that interactive style. A lot of the feedback that we get great feedback on Pearlcatchers training, and a lot of the feedback is relating to how participants are able to put things into practice right away. So sometimes you'll go to training and you'll learn loads of theory, but so what? It's about how you can then go back, and if you're a team manager, for example, how you can apply the coaching techniques that you've just learned in that training session, or how you can go and have a conversation about diversity and inclusion, and you can put it into practice straight away. And that's where the value is really added. Works quite nicely having Pearlcatchers working in different areas of training, because it's then possible to thread the message through. So if we have a different trainer, for example, providing a training, Pearlcatchers don't know what that training necessarily contains. So it works really nicely to be able to make those links. I have worked in learning and development for, well over 10 years now. And I sort of categorize my trainers. So first of all, we have the ones that are simply hard work. You've got to chase them for everything. And those relationships don't last very long. You then have the ones that tick along quite nicely. They do what they need to do, and it's a tick in the box, and that's fine. And then finally you have your partners, and they're the ones that you really do work with. You can rely on them. You can ask them for advice. And I would definitely put Pearlcatchers in the partners box. If you work with Pearlcatchers, you'll find a true partner. A lot of organisations that I work with, they'll just offer us off the shelf, and they're not willing to design or help us to meet our needs. All they want to do is sell us their training. That's not what we get from Pearlcatchers. We find they really do care. They'll always follow up on the feedback from the sessions, and be interested in hearing what's going on in other areas of the organisation, and how the training that's being delivered is being embedded in the organisation.
From the very beginning, I've been really happy with working, particularly with Sharon, but overall with Pearlcatchers as a company. I had my project brief at the beginning, which was to have a fair, transparent and open process. And we've been able to deliver that completely as far as I'm concerned. And also the feedback we've got from our assessment teams, our candidates and our executive leadership team they've been particularly happy with what's been delivered from Pearlcatchers, and it is completely matched the brief that we had at the start. It's provided a product that the whole organisation are happy with. We are seeing an improvement not only in our candidates going through the process, but in the standard of supervision and leadership we've had from those individuals that have gone through the process and been promoted. We have seen a step up in their performance in the time that they've been promoted and gone through the next stage of their promotion process at step 4, particularly around their style of leadership, around the coaching style. We're already reaping benefits from that, in as much as it's not only improved our promotion process, but also in the supervision level that we're seeing from those candidates that have gone through the process. So overall, it's exceeded our expectations around what we've seen from the process. So we're more than happy with what we've had from Pearlcatchers. It was key to us, once again, was around the fact that the professional actors had been briefed in what they had to do, what they could say, where they couldn't go with the roles that they were playing in there. And it made sure that every candidate was giving a fair scenario to deal with, and it was consistent throughout. They didn't come away from the brief, and particularly around the diversity issues, it meant that we were particularly looking to ensure that the candidates built a good rapport with the role actors as they were coming in to deal with the scenario. So once again, it kept it consistent, but it also made sure that any behaviours that the actors were using were the same for every candidate. So we got that consistent approach. I found Pearlcatchers to be particularly engaging and helpful throughout all the work we've done with them over the last few years, and with everything that we've been given as briefs for projects. The whole of the Pearlcatchers team have been really helpful with helping us develop those briefs to the point where we have a product to deliver. I have been more than happy with everything the team has delivered to us, and I would certainly look to involve Pearlcatchers in any future processes we have